All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's super special Workshop Wednesday. My name is Mike Stratton. I am a systems engineer here at Verify, and today I am joined by a new face and new voice, Kyle Aebischer. He is a product manager here at Verify. How's it going, Kyle?
Hey, good, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. For today's workshop, we are going to be introducing Verify's upcoming Webex calling integration. We expect it to be available the first or second week of May. But first, we're going to start off with a quick overview of our company and what we do. Then I'll pass the ball to Kyle, and he will update us with our upcoming Webex calling integration. And then I'll show a couple reports, a couple sample reports to give everyone an idea of what we can report on. I'll pause for some Q&A and get some of your questions answered during the demo or discussion. If you have any questions, make sure to ask them in the Q&A panel in the bottom right corner of your screen. And then after Q&A, we will award one lucky attendee with a $50 Amazon gift card. So hang around to see if you may have won. Quick overview of Verify. Verify is the preferred analytics and management solution for Cisco collaboration, providing industry-leading CDR, UCCX, and Cube analytics, along with fully customizable dashboards, remote phone control, change and DID management, Zoom phone analytics, and dashboards. But today, we're going to focus on our upcoming Webex calling integration. If you have any questions on any of our other features, or if you have some interest in participating in like an early access to the Zoom or to Webex calling, please feel free to chat me in the Q&A panel on the bottom right side of your screen, or reach out to your account manager for additional information. And one more thing before we kick things off, Verify does offer a consultative service that provides you a personalized experience with your Verify system. Verify SC's team engages with you on a one-on-one basis to remotely provide additional consulting, unassisted reporting, dashboard configuration, and system monitoring assistance. This is a service that provides you with a dedicated Verify SE to do all the heavy lifting, giving you a completely hands-off experience. For more information, please contact us, and we'll be glad to speak more in depth about our enhanced consultative service. With all that said, Kyle, I'm going to pass the ball to you.
Absolutely. Well, first off, Mike, thanks again for having me today and letting me take the spot for one of our systems engineers. I'm extremely excited to share our WebEx calling integration as we do near the completion of this project. And secondly, I'd be remiss if I didn't give our entire development and QA team working on this project just a huge shout out. They've been working relentlessly for the last several months to make this integration a reality for us, and I really just can't thank them enough for all their efforts. So jumping into it, we've known here at Verify for some time now that there's a big push to move everyone's on-premises deployments to the new cloud offerings like WebEx Calling. So really, it was a no-brainer for us to integrate WebEx Calling into our application and to continue providing high-quality analytics tools that we have been for the other platforms we support. I know we certainly have many current customers who are migrating from, say, CUCM to WebEx Calling or planning to be in some kind of a hybrid environment. And we believe that this integration with Verify, along with the other platforms that we support, will be extremely helpful. Being able to drill into both of these platforms, helps people answer questions like adoption of the new platforms, are calls being routed correctly, what is the usage of our legacy setup like these days, and so on and so forth. As I mentioned, we are nearing the end of this project and are currently targeting the first half of May to release, like Mike said a few minutes ago. So I think the next big question then is what is going to be included in this release? And so for our initial release, which we are dubbing 15.0, we're going to be launching the call analytics feature for WebEx calling. This, of course, includes integrating your WebEx organization with the Verify application and the other things you may be accustomed to, like a sync with your organization, database archiving. We do have a webinar next week where we're going to go over that stuff into more detail. And then into the call analytics feature, we're going to have our call history or ad hoc search, our report building and execution, scheduling these reports, custom label sets, and then all of the permission and visibilities for the users in the Verify app to be able to run these reports and see what you only want them to see. Directly after this release, we're going to set our eyes on version 15.1, which is going to include support for dashboards and widgets for WebEx calling. And it won't be too long after 15.0. We're targeting late June, early July, that time frame for the release of that. We'll certainly have that more honed in as we get going with it. And if anyone has any questions on any of that information, feel free to drop it into the Q&A section so we can answer it at the end of this webinar, or you can always reach out to your account manager and get those answers resolved. And with that, Mike, I'm going to pass it back to you for an overview of the reports that you'll be able to run with Variphy for Webex Calling.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Let me share my screen again. Boom, there we go. All right, screen is shared. Yeah, thank you, Kyle. We have a couple sample reports here for you today. Let me get them ready. So kind of quick before we go into the reports, kind of some of the benefits from the Webex calling, or from Verify's Webex calling integration. What we're looking at is like unlimited CDR retention. We can support multiple UC platforms, not just Webex calling, but on-prem Cisco, Cube, UCCX, and Zoom Phone. And all the reports, follow the same format that we've been doing with the other platforms, where they're all fully customizable. You can select and choose the columns or the fields that you want to see. Turn off what you don't want to see, and you can also rename any of the columns. So if some of the columns are too technical for your users, or you just want them to show up as something else on one of the reports, you can do so. So basic report here. I'll drag it over. Actually, there's two reports that kind of come together. Go here and here. These two reports are just a basic detail by extension or detail by phone number report, where if a user is looking for, they have a number, whether it's an extension or a phone number, someone's caller ID or whatever, they're just kind of inputting it into the software and pulling data out of the database. So what you see here is our basic search. We pull back different calls. We can show the average durations, the total call durations, the same type of stats that you see with this UCM reporting. And then down below, you have there's two different ways to present the data. One is what we call by call events, and the other is by call sequence. And so, Kyle, if you want to give us kind of an overview on what the difference is between an event or a sequence.
Yeah, absolutely. So if anyone here is familiar with our cube reporting, it's pretty similar to that. So essentially what we have here is a sequence is really like cradle to grave reporting, right? That's going to show you every single leg or an event, as we like to refer to it, of a call, right? So you're going to see where the call came in, how it got transferred, what call queue or hunt group did it go to, who answered the call, did it end up in voicemail, those kinds of things. And the difference between that and an event is the event is just going to show you that one call leg or event that matches your search criteria. So it's really a matter of, do you want to see the full call sequences, or do you want to just see the event that you're looking for based on your search criteria?
Perfect. Thank you. Yes, thank you. So what we're seeing here are the call events. So these are the individual records. And we're looking for everything. All the calls coming to or from a user named Frank Sinatra. So we can see all of his call detail here. And then this report here, this is looking at the sequences. So the call records right here are one call sequence. So we can see that Frank, somewhere in here, Frank was part of this call, and he's also part of this call down here. So these are two separate calls. Each call has multiple call legs, much like you see with the CUCM CDR, how if a call is presented to multiple people, or if it bounces around within a phone system, we receive multiple records from the phone system. So we can pull in the same type of data from Webex calling. And so these calls here, are calls coming into a hunt group. We can see them presented to each of the agents. And so, go piggybacking off of the hunt group, we do have a hunt group report here. So not just agents and phone numbers, we can also report on objects or devices such as, let me back up a little bit here. Hunt groups, call attendants, and call queue, or I should say auto attendants, hunt groups, and call queues. So here's a basic hunt group report. Calls are coming into the hunt group. We have the basic information: 400 calls, average durations, total call durations, ring times, how many calls were answered, and then we can also include groupings, so we can see we're taking the calls and we're grouping them based upon either the hunt group name, so we can see that a breakdown of the calls by the sales group or the support group, and then we're taking those stats and doing or breaking the calls down by hourly totals. So total call count, answer call count, all those different values and different metrics broken down by some sort of time unit, the same way we can do in our current offering. And then also alongside hunt groups, we can also report on auto attendants. So here's another just basic auto attendant report, We're looking at all the different auto attendants. We can see how many calls are coming into each auto attendants, the average duration, how many calls terminated the auto attendants, and then include a chart or a graph showing the breakdown of the different or the call volume into each auto attendant.
Yeah, I think that the graphs here are really great. I know I'm a visual person myself, and so I can make sense of the tables, but seeing the graphs is what really brings it home for me.
All right, and moving down, next report. This is more like an organizational or a grouping report where we're filtering on a location. So this is a report looking at the Bay Area office. It's grouping on each of the individual users in that Bay Area office, and then we're further grouping by what's called the party client or the caller calling party client type. This is basically the app or the device where the call is either placed or received from. So you can see looking at like adoption rates for your users. We can see are the agents or all the users placing and receiving calls from like their desk phone, or are they using like the app on their cell phone to place the call? So here's just a quick breakdown of who's answering calls and what device or what object they're using to answer those calls.
Yeah, another
And
another good report here to show too, like if you have a bunch of hard phones in there, but people are choosing to use their WebEx app on their computer or phone, right? Can you get rid of those hard phones? Things like that. This is what a report like this would be great to showcase.
yes, and then last but not least, the last report is kind of like the same report as the Bay Area office report, but it's kind of looking at like a more global level where we're seeing, how many calls are being placed or received from those same devices. So we're not looking at a specific location; we're looking at the entire organization, and we're seeing, for all the calls, what object or what device is being used the most. Is it coming from a desk phone or is it coming from, an app on a cell phone? But then the same thing, just breaking it down in a graph or a chart, looking at the number of calls by device type per hour. All right, perfect. So we will pause here and go back to the slides. So we'll start. Go ahead and do some quick Q&A. Let me pull up the Webex will let me pull up the Q&A section here. Actually, let me stop sharing real quick. Okay, here we go. So for the Q&A, Doug asked, will a recording of the session be available after? Yes, we will put a copy of this webinar up on the website, hopefully today or tomorrow. Tyler asked, will contact center reporting be available as well? Kyle, I will punt that question to you.
Yes. I'm
So
sorry.
yeah,
Could you repeat that? The audio cut
will
out on me there.
will WebEx contact center reporting be available as well?
Ah, okay. Sorry about that. So initially, no, in version 15, no, it will not be. That is something that is absolutely on our roadmap. I don't have a specific timeline at this moment to share with when that will be available, but that's definitely something that we're looking to add support for.
Okay, let me go. Here's a question came in the Q&A. Is Verify working on an MS Teams integration?
As a matter of fact, we are. We're in the early stages of that right now, and we're looking to release that at some point in the winter. So late this year, early next year. But yeah, I am pleased to announce that development efforts have begun on that.
Okay, next question. Can our on-prem Verify server process WebEx calling records, or does this require a migration to Verify Cloud?
It does not require Verify Cloud. Your on-premise server is 100% capable of integrating your WebEx calling org, processing records, just like you're familiar with our CCM offering on-premise.
Perfect. And will the call audio be captured by Verify?
The call audio will not, at least not initially. That's something we're still investigating. Um, WebEx calling uses third-party companies to do their call recording, and that makes it a bit more complicated. If it's even possible for us to capture that and show that in the application. I'm not sure if any of you had seen our Zoom product, but the call recordings are available in there. And that's really just because Zoom captures it themselves, but it's not really the same way in WebEx calling. So something that might take us a little bit more effort for WebEx calling to get that integrated.
Okay. On the auto attendance, can we see the caller input metrics, like which option was selected? I know we can do it in our current CUCM offering by looking at cradle to grave data.
Yeah, so sort of. It's something that I've been mulling over how to, as an improvement, how to make it extremely obvious what option was selected. So that part isn't there yet, but in the cradle to grave or the sequence reporting, you will be able to see, a call came into your auto attendant, and then where the auto attendant transferred it to. So like, let's say they select option one to go to, the sales call queue, for example. You're going to see in that cradle to grave reporting the auto attendant transferred it to the sales call queue. Um, you know, Perhaps in the future we could add some kind of detail column to show the menu item they selected from the auto attendant menu. Um, so yes, you can, but it's you have to like look at the whole sequence to figure out where the call went to.
Thank you. And let me pull up some more. We have a bunch of Q&A questions. Sorry, Kyle.
No, it's okay. I love the questions.
Let me go. Let's go with did that one. Claudio did that one. Do we report on the basic call queue in WebEx calling MT? Right. Yeah, basic on the basic call queue. Yes.
Yeah,
We yeah,
absolutely.
I can answer that one. Yeah, we will offer basic reporting on the call queues as well, not just hunt groups and auto attendants.
Yeah,
Um,
so yeah, with call queues, you can search based on call queues. As far as detail columns in the reports, you can look at how long someone was in a queue before it was answered. Calls transferred to the queue, all that kind of information will be available. Yes.
okay. What about operating on or what about reporting on the operator console in WebEx calling?
I'm not entirely sure what an operator console is.
I'm assuming
So
that's the auto attendant console. In that case, yes, we will offer reporting on the attendant on the
yeah,
attendant
if
console.
that's referring to auto attendants, then yeah, absolutely. We have auto attendant reporting.
Okay. Okay, other question. Can we combine our WebEx calling records with our CUCM records on our on-prem Verify instance? You already answered that. Yes, we can, collect the WebEx calling data on the same server as the that currently collects and runs reports on the CUCM data. I mean, as far as combining, we can't combine them, into the same like match the
Report.
calls or do it, yeah, that way. But yeah, you can run reports and then collect the data, run reports the same way you can with the CUCM data.
Yeah, that's
Um,
something that we want to add support for is having one report on multiple different platforms. A platform being your CCM cluster and your WebEx calling org. Initially, you'll have to run one report on your CCM cluster and another on your WebEx calling organization. But in the future, we would love to be able to integrate that into one report. But initially, no, we won't be able to do that. But yeah, as far as collecting the data, like Mike was saying, your database server can absolutely have both of those in there.
Okay, I think we have one more question that wasn't already covered. Ray has some concerns about GPDR and data residency laws. Can Verify be prevented from querying specific locations in WebEx calling?
Hmm. So no, we can't. That's a great question. Yeah, currently right now we don't have uh, any ability to restrict what calls are processed, from a certain location. But that is something that's a great point, and something that we can certainly look over as adding to the data visibility permissions. Meaning, currently uh, you can restrict data to say department or something like that. That's certainly something we could look at also adding for location based data restrictions.
Okay, a couple more questions snuck in here.
No
Um,
worries.
do we have a
I can
list
be
of
here
what
all day.
do we have a list of what fields within Webex calling will be pulled into the verified database? Nothing we can give right now, but we are working on like a data dictionary that'll have a list of all the different columns with and yeah, the different columns and like what they kind of mean um, within our software and within Webex calling. Um,
Yeah, we can, yeah, as far as like detail columns on a report go, yeah, like
mhm.
Mike was saying, those knowledge base articles I'm sure will be released here in the coming weeks. I will say this, if you want to see what information we're able to get, say over the API, that information is public on the WebEx developer documentation. So feel free to reach out, and I can provide you, or your account manager can provide you a link to that information so you can see what the actual CDR data, the raw CDR data, I'll call it, we get from what the WebEx calling API looks like.
Okay. Again, or let's see, Matt asked, what's the ETA for Verify 15.0? When can we potentially beta it?
So we're looking at the week of May 8th right now as our GA release, right? Um, right now we are, kind of moving into a super alpha release, I guess I'll call it, into more of a beta for the next few weeks here. If you do have an interest in that, feel free to reach out to your account manager. I can't promise that we can just open it up to everybody, but it's certainly something we can evaluate on a per organization basis for that early beta access.
Okay. And Adam asked, WebEx calling has built-in call queues or built-in call queue statistics showing various queue agent stats. We showed Hunt Group and Auto Attendant. Any plans for WebEx calling call queues?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the call queue reporting is something that we're absolutely having in our initial release here. So just a high level overview, you'll be able to search based off of a called call queue. And then you'll be able to group by call queues and show the various statistics, total call counts, average queue wait time, all that kind of thing. That will absolutely be in the initial release, just like it is for the Hunt Group and in the auto attendant ones.
Okay. And is Verify Cloud an option? Will there be an option to get off of on-prem?
Yeah, so Verify Cloud is certainly an option. It's really a decision, that you're gonna have to make within your organization if you want to deploy our software on premise or use our cloud offering. Um, it does get a little bit unique if you're a current on-prem customer and what kind of data retentions for your existing CUCM CDR you'd like to have. That's something that we'd have to get in on a per customer basis. So, but yeah, the short answer is yes. Verify Cloud will be an option for WebEx calling as well as on-premise. You can do either or.
Okay, and then Edgar asks, will this support both WebEx multi-tenant and direct instance? If yes, will this integration also pull the CDR from the dedicated instance piece or strictly depend upon the WebEx data?
Um, can you repeat the first part of that question again? Sorry,
Yeah.
that was kind of a long one.
Will this support both WebEx multi-tenant and direct instance?
Yeah, so you can configure as many WebEx organizations you have. Um, it's we basically are licensing this based off of, we're going to pull in your WebEx organization, and when we run our license report, it's going to determine how many users you have with a calling specific license, and that number is what we're going to use for the licensing model and pricing as well. And then I think there was a second part to that, Mike.
If yes, will this integration also pull the CDR from the dedicated instance piece or strictly depend on the WebEx data?
I'm not sure I totally understand what that is specifically asking, but with every WebEx organization that you integrate into, the Verify software, it will be able to pull the CDR data for that entire organization. So, like when you go into Control Hub, for example, you're going to be looking at your organization, or you might have the option to look at a few if you have a few different ones, like a multi-tenant situation. As long as each of those tenants, or I'm going to call them organizations, are integrated into the Verify app, we can pull the CDR data for each of those.
Okay, so Matt says the dedicated instance is basically CUCM in the cloud. So yeah, we will be as far as pulling in the data, yes. And then Doug asks, for current on-prem Cisco Verify customers transitioning to Webex Calling, what would a dev beta environment of Cloud Verify take to acquire? He'd like to greenfield a new reporting system rollout and potentially migrate to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Doug, I would just say reach out to your account manager, and we can go over that process in more detail. Probably not something we want to like totally get into here because it's a bit, in the weeds. But yeah, we can certainly discuss that further.
Okay, let me chop over. Those were all from the chat. Let me jump to the actual Q&A panel. Can on-prem Verify handle multiple WebEx calling orgs and multiple CUCM clusters?
Yes.
Perfect. Quick.
Yep. As long as it's all licensed, it's good to go. That's really what it comes down to is just licensing it. But yeah, we can handle multiple WebEx orgs and multiple CUCM clusters and multiple UCCX clusters and multiple cubes. You can do it all.
Perfect. All right. I think we've gone through all of the chat questions and all the Q&A questions. If anybody has any like last minute questions, please feel free to go ahead and type them in right now. I'll give everyone a couple seconds before we move on.
Yeah, that was a great Q&A.
That was a
Those are
great
some really
Q&A.
good questions.
Last second, going once, going twice. All right, let me go ahead and reshare my screen. All right, all right. All right, so let's move forward. We wrapped up with the Q&A. Now time to move on to what we've all been waiting for, the winner of our
Uh-oh.
$50 Amazon gift card, and the winner is Ryan Clark. Congratulations,
All
Ryan.
right.
Your account manager will reach out to you and get you paid. And then next week, Kyle and I will be back for a workshop that covers how to deploy an on-prem WebEx calling instance. So thank you, everyone. Hope to see you next week and have a great rest of your day.
All right. See you next week, everybody. Have a good one.